Hi, Alan SoCal. I'm reviewing the Tool Mac, and they call it a multifunctional tool. Frankly, for me, there's one reason that I was very anxious to both try out and review this item. It wasn't multifunctional for me. It was very specific in that I wanted to properly punch holes in leather. I've been modifying belts over the years, as with most people, either gaining or losing weight, preferably losing. And when I do that, of course, I find that I've got belts that are either without enough holes so that I can tighten them up, which I'd prefer that, over having to create a bunch of new holes further out toward the end of the belt so that I can still use them as I increase in my waist size. So really the purpose for me reviewing this item was because I wanted to properly punch the holes in leather. I'd been using everything literally from sharp objects like a nail to handheld singular leather punches, vinyl and leather punches. They look like a chisel or a center punch, but you can only do one hole at a time. Many times the holes that it creates are either too big or maybe too small, but usually I don't have punches that are small enough that will do a really clean hole. This particular tool affords me that utility. Okay, well, I found using the tool was really pretty easy once I figured out how to adjust it. And here's the key. You'll find this in the instructions. There is a very small dial right here, and let me bring it in for you so you can see it. The dial, I put a little piece of blue tape on it. You're going to see in the instructions red lines that they've created because I'm believing this can be overlooked, and I know it took me a while to find it. And to understand how it worked. It's not that complicated. When you want to change the punch sizes, and that's something you're going to do regularly, what you want to do is you want to turn this dial such that, and it's very hard, I'm going to have trouble showing you. You want to be able to turn it so that there's a flat on that unit, on that dial, and that flat will allow you to open up the jaws on this tool device wide enough. And let me make sure I hold this for you. You can open up the jaws now wide enough to rotate these different punches, and that's the key to making this thing adjustable. You line up whichever punch you're going to use, and you then slowly squeeze and make sure that that punch matches the plate down at the bottom. This plate is where the male punch has to travel through. You're going to be able to adjust this plate with an Allen wrench that's included in this tool. Allen wrench goes right here. You'll find the Allen wrench in the handle itself right here. So when you start your adjustments, one of them will be to make sure that this bottom plate is lined up with the punch itself so that everything mates up properly. And let me try doing this one more time. I come down and this plate is where it needs to be. I tighten it down here. Once you get that set, there's one more setting right here, And this little dial, if you turn it to the left counterclockwise, you can then change the depth of your cut. You see that little item that's traveling right now? That is going to allow you to adjust how close the punch is to the edge of your leather item. So you've got that adjustment to make when you're punching a hole in, say, leather. So when I decide that I'm going to use a specific hole size, I turn the dial again so that that flat is no longer where it was. It's now a round area. And you'll notice that when I let go and this thing springs out, it only goes so far, keeping the punch in position and in the guide here. So that's very important. And just to show you how it works, this, thankfully, I don't have to worry about this leather belt. I'm not going to be using it regularly, but with a reasonable amount of force, I'm using my left hand, I just went through. So I just punched a clean hole. I guess you can see it there. And move it over here. There you go. There's the hole. So I was able to punch a very regular and clean hole in this leather belt. The actual the little piece of leather that I punched is right here. The whole point of the tool is to allow you to do a clean hole, not a ragged hole. I was extremely impressed with it. The price point for me was very good. It was reasonable, and although I thought I had every single tool imaginable, this leather punch was one item I just didn't have, and I find that we can use it for not just adding holes to a belt, but you can also use it on some shoe straps for adding an extra hole in the shoe strap. Very good item. I thought it was well priced. I think it's extremely well built. I was impressed with the build quality. I'm very happy with it, and I'd recommend it if this is a kind of item you're looking for. I'm certainly glad I've got it in my toolbox.